transgender doesn't necessarily mean they're going to commit acts of violence.
100%.
So I think that would be a slippery slope of, I 100% am with you that people who identify as transgender, like there's something deeper going on there. They're not okay. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of brokenness that needs to be addressed. And that would be like one of the negatives I would see from this, is that people would just assume it leads down that path of thinking of
can't, but I do think it's just interesting how this is now being like put forward as even an option.
It's wild, just the evolution of like, wow, we're having this conversation. But I would, to that end, Pamela, just be curious to hear, you've been in the field of psychology for a very long time, of therapy for a very long time. What are some of just the major shifts or changes you've seen to where like we're having this conversation?
Oh my God, this podcast isn't long enough for me. But one of the main things is treatment is no longer treatment. You go to a therapist now, and the therapist wants you to feel good. They don't want to actually help you take responsibility.
They don't necessarily want to fix the
choices. They're not going to the root. So therapists used to be, I'd say to a fault, they would analyze you and they'd want to always look at something and say, it's really something else. There's all this, underlying things. And now everything's on the surface. It's the complete opposite. So this affirmation therapy is about not looking at the underlying issues anymore. It's just looking at what we see on the surface, which to me was really bizarre, because I used to be annoyed with therapists for the other reason. Like, stop analyzing me. I'm hungry.
It doesn't mean anything.
I know that psychologists and psychiatrists are different. You have the therapy side and the more pharmaceutical side. What have you seen? Obviously, there's been an increase of SSRI use, especially with women. And as I feel like the mental health, even with social media in the uprise in the past decade or 2 decades, how have you seen in your practices as being a counselor and being in the psychology industry, how have you seen like the social changes of just pharmaceuticals and social media and other aspects really change from that perspective?
Yeah, I think, it's certainly, we all know there's been a huge increase in SSRIs and other psych meds. And I think it all goes hand in hand, because it's about that quick fix. And it's not my fault. There's just something, it's a chemical imbalance, which has now been disproven. So, and just all of that quick fix and just not really looking at how you can change from within. And also being patient with, sometimes it takes time and it takes work to go through it, and people want to just do it quickly. I mean, there's the weight loss medications, all kinds of examples of that. And that is a thread within therapy. So, therapists, they think, just take the meds. Also, there's the PHQ-9 test that they're giving to everybody. If you go, I had a knee injury, and they gave me the PHQ-9 to ask me about my mental health. Well, I had a bad knee. I was not clinically depressed. But I was having a bad day.
Is that a new standard that they're now issuing this mental health screening?
It's very, they want to do it universally, and especially with children, they want to do it universally, because the earlier they get the child hooked on the drugs, the harder it is to get them off of it. So that's happening in Illinois. They just passed a law for schools to have universal screenings for children, and I see that as a pipeline to get them on more drugs.
Wow. So interesting. Well, I feel like the left is so aware that you have to start young, right? Like you target kids young. And I feel like now conservatives are like catching up on this of like, okay. Because it is like, it's where so much formation happens. And so I love the fact that you have written a children's book.
Yes. By the way, I'm a disaffected liberal, so maybe that's why. I'm like, I gotta just use my old liberal mentality.
California.
That's
good.
Your
superpower.
Yeah, I'm a former
reject.
I'm a California escapee.
So good. Well, the book is called Froggy Girl, and I love it. It's so cute. It's adorable, but it's practical. So share, if you would, a little bit about the premise, why you wrote it.
So, I've been talking a lot about this gender issue, and one of the things I wrote this other book for parents, and while I was kind of stalking it on Amazon, it was sitting next to all these really horrible books for children and teenagers. All this just graphic, sexual, you're born in the wrong body, and just icky stuff. Yeah. So I got inspired to say, well, I want to write a book that teaches kids that they were born right, and just to accept themselves for who they are. And by the way, this book doesn't mention anything to do with trans or gender or anything like that. It's really more of a classical tale. In fact, there are like old school stories. It was inspired by the 70s classical liberal record, Free to Be You and Me. You guys are too young for that.
That's what insert a clip here.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah. We can. Yeah, I'll give you a link after.
Yeah.
So it's about a little girl who wishes she was a frog. There she is, and her parents support her froggy identity because they love her and they want to support her. Her teacher gives her a special froggy flag. And her friends are also really nice to her, but they're a little weird. They're uncomfortable. You can see the parallel
Absolutely,
here.
absolutely.
And so she goes with all her froggy stuff, and she tries to do the froggy things, but it doesn't work out so well because she can't swim very well, and she can't make the froggy sounds.
Yeah.
And then she starts to feel really sad and alone.
Aw.
And she goes for a walk, and she meets this wise turtle. He doesn't have a name, but it's the wise turtle.
I love it.
And the wise turtle teaches her that she's, helps her appreciate that she's a beautiful little girl.
Yeah.
And she can sing and dance and even do a twirl. It rhymes.
I love it. I love
That's
it.
so sweet.
It's cute.
And the last line, it does say that she, beautiful little girl. It says, no, I'm blanking on it.
No, yeah. Let's get it straight from the
Let me get
source.
the words. I wrote it myself, I swear. The little girl learned to love the way God made her, beautiful and smart and full of fervor.
Oh,
that's beautiful.
I love it.
And the
cute.
drawings were done by a detransitioner.
Are you serious?
Yes, a man who
beautiful.
used to believe he was a woman.
Powerful. Absolutely
He drew
powerful.
little pictures
Love her
of us.
outfit. and things
Yeah.
like that.
It's
Isn't
fantastic.
it so cute?
It's so cute.
His name is Nicholas Bloom, so I want to give him a shout out. He did such a great job.
Amazing
Here's us.
job.
He
Oh,
did a little
wow.
personalized.
I
sweet.
love that. That's
And see, this is
powerful.
the perfect example of how you to keep your stronghold on sanity in the culture. It's not about blasting like the religious aspect of it in everyone's face on every single page or saying all these statistics, which is what the left does with their religion of transgenderism
Yeah.
and ideology. It's really just affirming what's natural and what's right and what's good. Like, you are you. If you try to not be you, it's not going to work out, and you're perfect the way that you're created. And that's how you take back the culture, not
100%.
forcing your ideology onto people. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And the irony is a lot of people who believe they're leftists, I think they don't realize what they are supporting. They like my book. They don't realize
Yeah.
what I'm saying. They just think, yeah, that's a sweet story.
It's because it's subconscious, and I think that's honestly what conservatives need a little bit more of,
Yeah.
especially in culture and how to shift culture when it comes to radical leftists and children's books. Because right now, if you go to a public library, I mean, I was even remember babysitting a couple's kid. This was probably 3 years ago, and they had like the non-binary baby alphabet
Yeah.
book, and it's like, it is so blatant and out there. And I think books like this, honestly, are so necessary to just infiltrate that, because honestly, a liberal could buy that book
Yeah.
and would read it. And it's like just slowly introducing these concept of normalcy and that, you are born in the right body and God made you so beautiful just the way you are. You were knitted in your mother's womb. I knew you before you knew me. And I think that is something that just like needs to be talked about more specifically in culture for kids. So I love it.
Thank you.
We have some fun news from two of our hosts here today that we're going to talk about in a second. But before we get to that, Pamela, tell us, how do we get your books? How do we follow your work?
Okay, so Froggy Girl has a website. It's FroggyGirlBook.com.
Love it.
And the other book is on Amazon. All the links are on that website. I didn't do that for this one because I was a rookie and I didn't know what I was doing then. So
Live and learn.
this is my first published book, and I'm hoping to do a second edition. But it is on Amazon, and it's called A Practical Response to Gender Distress. And this is written really for families who are in the thick of it, who don't know what to do and what to say. And it debunks a lot of the sayings that the trans activists say, and it has a lot of practical advice from all my years of clinical experience working with teenagers and working with families. And it has a trans English dictionary at the end. It has a lot of just very practical things. There are other books on this subject matter that are wonderful, but they're a little more theoretical, a little more academic. And this one is for that person who just wants to know what is going on and what do I do with my kid. It also has a lot of resources in the back. So you can find that on Amazon. And I have a website, thetruthfultherapist.org. And I am on all the socials. I'm on Instagram as the.truthfultherapist.
Love it.
And my Twitter is Truth Therapist. I have some videos. I don't do an active YouTube, but I have a lot of videos on YouTube. So you could just see interviews with me, which I'll probably get some clips from you guys on there on YouTube, which is The Truthful Therapist. And I have a Substack, which is Pam the Truthful Therapist. And I also write columns for Human Events. So you can Google me on Human Events and see some of my articles
All
there.
over the place.
You're busy.
Love it. Yeah.
I love it.
good
Well,
word.
we have some fun